All right, guys, we'll get right to the content, but I just want to say thank you for supporting this channel. Supporting this channel allows me to keep making content, so thank you. If you haven't already, please click below and subscribe. That really helps me out a lot. Without further ado, enjoy the video. All right, I don't have a racket in my hand for a reason here, because we are going to talk about how throwing in tennis is a much different motion than in baseball or just any overhead throwing sport. Okay, so if I didn't have a net in the way, ideally the best way, and this is why the pitchers, they throw at 90 degrees and their shoulder is parallel to their bicep, and they're going to release here and they're going to come around, and this is their way of throwing really, really fast. Okay, the problem is in tennis we have a net in the way, so we have to reach. Now, the problem that I've noticed as an instructor is that people reach, they feel the reach, but the reach is in front of them like this. So if I put my hand to the side, look how low that is, right? This is not as high as you can reach. Now, if something's on the top shelf at a grocery store, how would you reach that? You would, go up as high as you can. Now, the one thing that's different though is, what if we had to be sideways? Okay, because that's kind of the position we want to be when we are serving. All right, so if I was going to want to reach right over here as high as I can with my right shoulder, I wouldn't go like, I can't do this. That's a rotation we don't do in tennis. We don't put our shoulder around. We actually are going to tuck it in. Now look, that's as high as I can reach if I stay sideways. Okay, so one thing that I remember when I learned tennis in high school is my side stomach was sore. My abdominals were sore from tennis because I would be doing this type of motion. Okay, so when you are serving, you need to be thinking that it's a tilt, because then if I drop this shoulder down under my chin, I can reach really high. And that's kind of where we want to be before we finish our swing and rotate through. Okay, so I think a lot of players think of it differently. They go around their body like this, and then they reach. And that makes sense, because I played baseball before tennis, so this was counterintuitive a little bit, but understanding that the higher the reach, the more margin you can hit over the net, right? So that's why the tall players are the best servers. They can hit it, maybe a little harder because of their lever. They have a longer lever, right? But the biggest thing is they have more margin. They get hit 130-mile-an-hour serve this high over the net, and it's still going to go in, which is incredible, right? But that's because they're reaching for so high. So we need to make sure we take advantage of whatever reach we have, okay? So here's the thing then. When players learn this continental grip and the service motion, and then they throw like a baseball player, and that's their motion, they hit, like I'm a righty, so they'll miss the far down corner on the left side. I don't know if you've ever had that. In fact, when I was in high school learning this serve on my own, I don't know why I thought of this, but I saw them players with this grip, the continental grip, right? And I noticed that they would serve that way. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And the problem is, I would miss right in that left corner. So I would aim far right side, and it would go into the correct box. It was a weird feeling to aim way away from your target, but it worked. Now, I don't do that anymore, but the reason why that was a problem is because a couple of reasons. First of all, if we're rotating our shoulder around like this rather than tucking and going over, watch what happens to the racket face. So I'm going to go up. Notice that the strings are going straight to my target. If I go up, and the strings will go straight to my target, very easy to hit over the net here. But if I start reaching, watch, around, look at my strings now. They start going left, don't they? So that's because my shoulder didn't tuck. See how it's behind me now? So if you serve and on contact point, your left shoulder is behind you, you're doing it wrong. Your left shoulder, and you can see this on the pros on contact point, they can look down. They're looking up because that's where they're hitting. They're hitting up because they have to reach, right? But they could look down and look at their watch if they had a watch on, because that's where their left hand is if they're a righty, okay? So watch a good server, and you'll see that when they go here, they're going to be tucking down. As they're reaching up, looking up at the sky, their chest is going up, and look at their left arm. And then after, they'll rotate through. So the left shoulder does clear, but not until contact point. A lot of players are doing it during contact point, and that's the problem. We're reaching. We are reaching. See, arm is straight, but we're not reaching above our head. And the best way to reach above our head is to get our shoulder to tuck down, and it also protects our shoulder. When we start doing this, we start having rotator cuff issues. That's why baseball players have a harder time in this position, right? And we're like this, so it's not so hard on the shoulders. That's why players can serve, a lot of serves over a course of a week-long tournament and feel okay, right? And baseball, you pitch once a week, so it's a little different motion, right? So, take some videos of yourself, maybe in this angle, see if your strings are facing behind you long enough to go up, right? And they're not turning to the left, okay? But the other thing is maybe on the side or in front, camera in front would even be best, and see if you can freeze on contact point and see if your eyes are up, your racket is straight up in the air above your head, not down here, and your left arm is tucked down if you're a righty, like this, okay? That will show you the correct motion, that you're doing the correct motion on your serve. Very hard to do though, because if you practice this with throwing, baseball, again, you release right around this level, you're throwing down, but now in tennis, I'm going to launch the ball over my head like here. So if you want to practice the serve, you should be releasing above your head like this. You should feel your abdominals really working here, because that's the motion you need to work on. So I'm here, tilted my shoulders. This shoulder is now going to, instead of baseball, go this way. We're going to go this way. So that's why I tilt my shoulders. It's called the trophy pose, right? And then your shoulders are going to switch places basically. So I'm here, throw over my head, and that is the motion you need to work on when you are serving. Put a racket in your hand after you're feeling that, and it will take some time, but I would say the last piece of advice for this is I would say up every time with players. In fact, I'll have them have a fence in front of them, and they have to serve over the fence so they can get that feeling of up. And once they get it, because they eventually do, even last night I had a lesson with a varsity girl that was trying to get better on her swing. She's like, it's more up than I thought it would be. It is. It's not, we're not pushing forward, we're going up, okay? So think about that in terms of a different type of throwing mechanism with your shoulders, and you're basically how you are staying sideways a little more until you make contact with the ball, okay? Hope that helps, and good luck.